I started it 4 years ago, essentially as a personal project. I'd come back from traveling around Europe, and I'd written for a newspaper over there about music, and I was finishing up university at the time, and when I got back, I wanted to keep writing about music. I couldn't really find anywhere, apart from something like the Rolling Stone or somewhere like that I really wanted to write for, so I decided to start up my own online publication that I would write for. I've always kind of had that with everything I've done. I've been doing freelance web and graphic design basically since I was 14. Specifically in terms of the AU review, it was probably 2 years into it that it turned from being just this personal project that a couple of other people wrote for to being something that people were paying attention to. And at that point we were spreading from Sydney to Brisbane and Melbourne and Perth and Adelaide and Hobart. And that's really when it all kind of kicked off, and it clicked that, okay, this can be an entrepreneurial project as well. And it's still at a point where it's growing, and it's still at a point where it's becoming sustainable. But as with any business, it's a long road, especially when you're building it from nothing. When I put the website together, it was one of my first ideas was to do an annual book, but it wasn't really until that point, 2 years in, that I went, okay, now I've got the content, now I've got all the writers and all the photographers, we can make this happen. These are 2 books that we've published that I'm personally very proud of, and I hope become an annual tradition for the years to come, and that definitely goes back to the entrepreneurial idea as well, that really want this to become something that I do every year with a group of people, and that becomes something that helps monetize the content long term. Because the website was about supporting myself, I guess, in the first instance, someone who wanted to write about music and wanted to get their name out there, not some screen name or some online identity, but an actual identity. And I guess people that are looking for the same have come to us, and for some writers and photographers it works very well, for others it's not quite the right fit, but definitely that's how we've grown, is that it's been purely word of mouth. We've never paid for advertising. And amateur writers and photographers are kind of looking for an outlet to get access to the shows they want to get access to, and write about the things they want to write about, and we really have that. We really allow contributors that freedom to write what they want and shoot what they want, so long as we can get them access to it. So to answer your question, I think that people come to us looking for what I was looking for, and that was always the intention of it. And that's why I created it, and why we do support amateur writers and photographers, because we want to give them a starting point. Well, the 4-year anniversary, we're doing 3 parties, one in Brisbane next week, Sydney a couple of weeks later, and then Melbourne in September. And basically they're celebrations of the fact we have lasted 4 years. Most sites get to that 1 or 2 year point where it suddenly becomes a full-time job basically, and you're not being paid for it, and they fall apart. And for whatever reason, I've kept it going and kept up with it, and we've got so many people who have come along for that ride over the last 4 years. So it's a good celebration of that fact, and also a starting point for the next 4 years. We really want to establish ourselves as a brand that supports emerging artists, emerging photographers, emerging writers, and now we're getting into arts and film as well, so we're trying to broaden our horizons. But at the end of the day, it's very much just a celebration, and we hope it does establish our brand in a more concrete fashion as well. We hope that industry come along to the event and think of us in a different light as well, as we kind of move on from something that was quite amateurish when it started into something that's self-sustaining and professional moving forward. I guess take it as it comes. With these sorts of projects, the online marketplace is changing every day, and there's no real way to, unless you've got money behind you, there's no real way to plan it properly. It's because it happens at least for us, it was in a completely natural and fluid evolution over the 4 years. Everything that's happened has been because someone has come on board and said, I'd like to do this, and then, okay, so we've added that to the site, and it's been a very gradual process in that. There comes a point where you do have to kind of make that decision whether you're going to invest everything into it or not, and that's kind of the choice that you've got to make, and it's not an easy one, because when you're starting up something from nothing, it's a long road, and but the rewards are ever the more fulfilling because of that hard work that you put in. So yeah, take it as it comes, and hopefully good things will happen out of it.